Hey there, and welcome to the Talking Ink, where we turn powerful books into real, meaningful conversations. Today we're diving into the international bestseller, a book that's calm, wise, and honestly, kind of life-changing. It's called Ikigai, The Japanese Secret to a Long and Happy Life, by Hector Garcia and Francesc Morales. If you've ever felt like you're just going through the motions or you've been wondering what really gives life meaning, this one's for you. So grab your tea, coffee, or just get comfy and let's break it down together. Allow me to start with a big question. What actually gets you out of bed in the morning? That spark, that pull into the day, even when the alarm is screaming and the week feels long. For many of us, it's just a fleeting thought before the coffee kicks in, lost in the morning fog. But on a small, sunny island in Japan, it's much more than that. There, it's a fundamental guiding principle woven right into the fabric of life. And today, we're diving deep into exactly that, Ikigai. Ikigai is the Japanese concept of finding purpose and meaning in life. It's often described as the motivation that gets you up in the morning, but it's much more than just a pleasant idea. It's a living practice with remarkable tangible outcomes. This leads us to Okinawa, a Japanese island often cited as the birthplace of Ikigai. It's also renowned for having the highest population of centenarians, people who live to 100 or more, on Earth. Is that a coincidence, or could Ikigai, the daily sense of purpose, actually contribute to longevity? Dan Buettner, the creator of the Blue Zones concept, thinks so. He has spent decades studying places around the world where people live exceptionally long, healthy lives. These blue zones include Sardinia in Italy, the Nicoya Peninsula in Costa Rica, Ikaria in Greece, Loma Linda in California, and Okinawa. While these communities might not all use the term Ikigai, the underlying principle, having a clear reason for being, is present in all of them. So purpose isn't just something nice to have, it's essential. It's a common thread among the world's longest-lived people. In this deep dive, we'll go beyond the buzzword and the familiar Venn diagram. We'll explore Ikigai's origins, dispel common myths, and, most importantly, offer practical steps to help you discover your own Ikigai. Insights will come from authors and researchers like Mikhail Luck, Hector Garcia, and Francesc Morales, and, of course, Dan Buettner. Let's start with the word itself. In Japanese, Ikigai combines iki, life, and gai, worth or value. So right within the word is this idea of finding genuine worth in your life. Interestingly, the word gai comes from kai, which can mean armor, number one, or to lead, and meaning wonderful, rich, or beautiful. So the value in life that Ikigai implies is not just any kind of worth. It's enriching, empowering, and deeply meaningful. In Okinawan culture, having this sense of direction is seen as foundational to health and longevity. It's not about just existing, it's about living actively and with intention. You'll notice that in Japan, many people remain active long after retirement age. They don't simply stop working in the way we often do in the West. They continue doing what they love and what gives them purpose as long as they are physically able. There isn't even a direct word in Japanese that corresponds with the Western idea of a complete retirement. Buettner points out that the concept of a full-stop retirement doesn't really exist in Okinawan culture. Purpose for them is lifelong. So how do people find their Ikigai? Many people in the West are familiar with the now famous Venn diagram, a model that shows Ikigai as the intersection of four elements. 1, what you love, your passion. 2, what the world needs, your mission. 3, what you are good at, your profession. And 4, what you can be paid for, your vocation. The idea is that when these four elements intersect, you find deep satisfaction and purpose. It's become a widely used visual representation of Ikigai, but it's not originally Japanese. The diagram was popularized in 2014 by Mark Wynn, who adapted it from a purpose diagram created by Spanish astrologer Andres Zuzunaga and combined it with Buettner's concept of Ikigai. Essentially, it's a remix. Interestingly, this diagram is also reminiscent of Jim Collins' hedgehog concept from his book Good to Great, which involves the intersection of what you are passionate about, what you can be best at, and what drives your economic engine. While these visual tools are useful, they have led to some misunderstandings about Ikigai's original meaning. Let's address 3 common myths. Myth 1. Ikigai is about your job or making money. Not necessarily. A 2010 Japanese survey showed that only 31% of respondents said their work was their ikigai. For many, it's family, hobbies, or even spiritual fulfillment. It's often completely separate from their careers and continues long after retirement. So while what you can be paid for appears in the Western remix, it's not central to the traditional understanding of ikigai. Myth 2. Ikigai is a grand, life-defining purpose. In reality, ikigai often comes from the small, meaningful joys of daily life, tending a garden, sharing tea with friends, or mastering a craft. Anthropologists like Gordon Matthews emphasize that ikigai can be humble and grounded, not necessarily some earth-shattering mission. Myth 3. You only get one ikigai. False. Ikigai evolves. You might find purpose in parenting, then later in volunteering or creating art. It's dynamic and flexible, shifting as you grow and change throughout life. So, how do you find your ikigai? Start with 4 essential questions. 1. What do you love? What excites you? What would you do even if you weren't paid? What topics can you talk about for hours? 2. What does the world need? What problems do you feel called to solve? What contributions can you make to your community, society, or family? 3. What are you good at? What skills come naturally to you? What do others say you excel at? Consider both innate talents and learned abilities. 4. What can you be paid for? What can you do that provides financial sustainability? Think broadly. This could include freelancing, entrepreneurship, or unconventional work. Where these elements overlap lies your ikigai. But remember, this isn't fixed. It changes over time. Look for recurring themes, activities that energize you and feel meaningful. A great example is Danielle Deneen, who shifted from a high-paying but draining career to become a social worker. She aligned her love for listening and her skill in empathy with a societal need and found a sustainable vocation. Research supports the idea that purpose can significantly impact longevity. Dr. Robert Butler found that seniors with a strong sense of purpose lived on average 8 years longer. Purpose seems to fuel healthy behaviors: exercise, mental engagement, diet, and social connections, all tied together by a compelling reason to live. It also helps with everyday life. Feeling needed and having a role can prevent the depression and decline that sometimes accompany retirement. It reframes work not as drudgery, but as part of a meaningful journey. And, interestingly, people with ikigai often don't prioritize money. Passion, service, and curiosity come first. Financial stability may follow, but it's not the driver. If you feel stuck, try volunteering. It shifts your focus outward and activates your desire to contribute. It also builds connections and restores a sense of meaning without requiring payment. In today's tech-saturated world, this can be difficult. Constant connectivity often isolates rather than connects us. Boutner warns that the rise of individualism and social media can threaten the communal spirit of ikigai. The antidote? Engage deeply in the real world through community, nature, and genuine contribution. Businesses can apply the same framework. Ask, what do we love as a company? What are we good at? What does the world need? What can we be paid for? The intersection of these defines an organization's ikigai. Companies like Apple, Tom's Shoes, and Google exemplify this balance, creating meaningful products or services that align passion, purpose, and profitability. Defining and living from an organizational ikigai improves morale, drives innovation, and leads to lasting impact. It turns work into a calling and aligns internal culture with external value. Emotions also signal alignment or imbalance. If you feel satisfied, love plus good at plus paid for, but not fulfilled, you may lack a sense of contribution. Comfortable, good at plus paid plus needed, but uninspired, you may miss passion. Thrilled, love plus paid plus needed, but unskilled, you may face anxiety. Delighted, love plus good at plus needed, but unpaid, you may struggle financially. Journaling and reflecting on these emotions can guide you toward balance. Other tools include Marie Kondo's Spark Joy approach. Evaluate relationships, activities, and obligations. Do they spark joy or feel like a loss if removed? If yes, they may be tied to your Ikigai. Track how you spend your time. Log your activities in 15-minute increments for a week. Identify time wasters and consider delegating or eliminating them to make space for purposeful action. Finally, let's talk about diet, a key piece of Okinawa's longevity. The Okinawan diet includes high variety, up to 206 different foods regularly, 18 daily, rich in fruits, vegetables, and soy, low in salt, sugar, and calories, 1,785 per day versus 2,000 plus elsewhere, limited meat and fish. One guiding principle is hara hachibu. Eat until 80% full. This mindful practice reduces overeating and supports cellular health. The diet is also rich in antioxidants from foods like bitter melon, kombu, nori, tofu, miso, soy sprouts, carrots, onions, sweet potatoes, yams, and peppers. Their tea, a mix of green tea and jasmine, is consumed daily and supports cardiovascular and immune health. Even local citrus like shikusawa contains high levels of protective flavonoids. Western equivalents include broccoli, berries, oily fish, whole grains, and good oils like olive oil. Avoid processed foods, excess sugar, and dairy. This plant-centric, antioxidant-rich diet supports vitality and slows aging. In sum, Ikigai is a holistic approach to life. Purpose, connection, activity, mindful living, and nourishment. It's not a destination, but an evolving journey. So reflect on this. What quiet joy or overlooked interest might be pointing you toward your next purpose? What whisper are you ignoring? Embrace the process. Don't chase a single answer. Let your Ikigai unfold. So that's Ikigai, a quiet little book with a big message that happiness doesn't come from chasing more. It comes from doing what you love, staying connected, and having a reason to get up every day. I hope this summary gave you something to think about, maybe even something to change. If you enjoyed it, hit that subscribe button and join us here at The Talking Ink, where we turn books into something you can feel, reflect on, and use in real life. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.